Hey there and welcome back to the 40th episode of Sims Sunday. My name is Pete and this is the series where we try to complete The Sims 3. And can you believe we're doing this for 40 weeks already? It definitely has been quite a ride so far. We begin this episode straight away with Paul grabbing breakfast, before he then jumps onto the computer to continue his mystery novel. We're not going to focus on his fun bar all too much, as a promotion is sadly impossible for him to achieve today. Nonetheless, with about 10 minutes until the carpool arrives, we will switch from writing to playing computer games. At least we would, if the computer did not break. Well, then I guess it's time to send Paul to work early today. And despite his fun bar only being half full, he will work hard. Back at home, both Patrick and Ayesha are awake. Patrick can prepare breakfast while Ayesha grabs the mail. Ayesha has the day off and can therefore now begin another round of collecting, and while she leaves we can sell the gold ingot that we just received in the mail. We already have quite a few of those. Alright, Patrick has finished preparing breakfast and he should already be on his way to school. However, staying on honor roll isn't too much of a challenge, so we can afford to be a bit late. We can also promise him the wish to reach level 8 in the cooking skill. I think we will achieve that sooner rather than later. After breakfast, he can now teleport himself to school, where a normal effort should be enough to stay on honor roll for the third consecutive day and fulfill that wish. Ayesha is still out collecting, but there's not much else of interest for the next few moments, so let's jump ahead a bit in the workday of Paul. He is already getting a bit stressed and has automatically switched back to business as usual, but let's actually change that to practice writing. He should be able to fill the promotion bar at least halfway, and this also benefits his writing skill, which we're close to maxing out. Then, while watching Ayesha, we get an opportunity for Paul. Attend a seminar for improved co-worker relationships and, more importantly, also for improved career performance. Of course, we will take that. And then we can jump ahead to the end of Paul's workday. He is far more than halfway to a promotion already, so we should get this one tomorrow. While he makes his way back home, Ayesha switches from gems and rocks to beetles and butterflies. I know we will probably not collect all of those with her, but for the moment we have grabbed all available rocks, gems and metals, so a few butterflies on the side can't hurt. Back at home, Paul has begun to paint again. This is mostly to get his fun bar back up and make some money on the side. Next, the school day for Patrick comes to an end and he is still on honor roll, which means that wish is now fulfilled and he gets 1000 lifetime happiness points. Back at home, he will once again take care of his garden, and while he does, we can cash in that wish reward immediately. Patrick now has over 20,000 lifetime happiness points, which means we can grab the super green thumb lifetime reward. This will boost the quality of our gardening quite significantly and should therefore reduce the time until we have the perfect garden. While Ayesha is more or less successfully catching a few more bugs, we can use Patrick's newfound gardening skills and plant a few higher quality versions of the plants we already have. Then we can jump into build mode and get rid of the old plants. And then also fertilize all the new plants, which, as you can hear in the background, fulfills a wish for Patrick. Patrick is done in the garden and will now take a shower. With new plants freshly planted, he also will have a bit more time on his hands in the next few days because he won't have to harvest anything. Then Paul finishes another brilliant painting and can then call the repair services to fix the broken laptop. In the meantime, we can sell the painting. Our home is decorated enough as it is. And while Patrick sits down with a recipe book, Paul can grab some stew surprise for dinner. Afterwards, he can once again pick up the phone, not for the repair services, but this time to get a hold of Chastity Dockery. She will come over in a while, and while we're waiting, we can spend the time on computer games. Shortly after, we get a visitor. It's not Chastity, but the repair woman, and while she makes her way inside, Patrick finishes the recipe for cookies, and I have a few more lined up for him. Outside, we can see Ayesha has returned and was spending money to make money, as she's sending away gems and metals to be cut or smelted. Then Ayesha goes inside to also grab dinner, and we can see someone approaching our front door. Chastity is here, which means enough computer games for Paul, and we will begin the conversation with an amusing greet. In the background, the technician has also repaired the laptop, so for the small fee of 50 simoleons we can now use that again. Then we get notified that Ayesha once again has to go to the hospital for an emergency. So as Patrick learns the recipe for fish and chips, we will send Ayesha over there. Of course, not to work, but to play golf. As Ayesha enters the hospital, we also cash in the donate a heart opportunity. We get 2000 simoleons and the raise for that, however at the cost of a slightly negative moodlet for 6 hours. Paul and Chastity have talked long enough for today, and Paul will now hop back onto the computer to continue the mystery novel. Over at the dinner table, Patrick finishes his third recipe, and while Chastity sticks around to watch TV, Patrick will now continue in the cooking skill and prepare dinner. He also has the wish to grow the ingredients for the newly learned fruit parfait, and those would be apple and grape, and we're already growing those anyway, so let's promise him that, and in a few days that wish should be completed. Not even an hour after he started writing, we can tell Paul to stop again. Every little bit of progress counts, but he is getting pretty tired, so let's send him to bed now. Over at the hospital, Ayesha's night shift comes to an end and we get another 1000 simoleons for that. And back at home, Patrick has finished preparing a nice bowl of stew surprise, of which he will grab a serving for himself. Thanks to Chastity still being in the room and nearby, he can also fill his social bar while eating, which is a nice added bonus. Then Ayesha returns home from work, and instead of going to bed, she will now use the computer to continue to work, however only to fulfill a wish. In the meantime, Patrick has cleaned up and will now go to bed. And then Ayesha fulfills her wish and can also go to sleep. A few seconds later, Chastity also leaves and we can skip ahead to the next morning. The first one awake is once again Paul, who will start his day with a nice shower. Afterwards, he can grab some pancakes for breakfast. At the same time, Patrick joins him at the dinner table with a cooking skill book. While we will of course also focus on gardening and fishing with him, cooking is actually the #1 priority because we need it soon for his first career. Then Ayesha wakes up and goes straight off the property. No shower, no breakfast for her. She will go straight back to collecting. Paul has now finished breakfast, cleans up, and with 1 hour until the carpool arrives, he will sit down in front of the computer to play a couple of games, just to survive the workday. Ayesha finds her first gem, and we can quickly jump back home. The carpool for Paul has arrived, but we won't take it. Instead, let's use the teleportation pad. At work, we will once again tell Paul to work hard, but we will probably switch that up during the day. Then once again a tad bit late, and if you've noticed, also without a single line of homework finished, we can tell Patrick to stop reading and also beam him over to the school. And again, normal effort should be enough. And then with Ayesha we get a message that absolutely made my day. After 194 collected gems, Ayesha has finally found a pink diamond. A look in the skill journal tells us more. That means we have now found all available gems in the game, at least in the base game, and we have also completed the gem collector skill challenge, which has now unlocked the heart-shaped cut for gems to use, which costs a ridiculous 1000 simoleons per gem, but increases the gem's value by 500% and can therefore be a real moneymaker with high-value gems. Before we get to use it, however, we have to send Ayesha off to work. Once again, she will raise her fun bar playing golf. Over at the office, we can see that Paul has received a raise and also that he has already maxed out the work performance meter. For that reason, we will now switch into the lifetime rewards tab and for 5000 simoleons grab Office Hero. This makes building relationships at work incredibly easy. We can then tell Paul to discuss news with his co-workers, and that should hopefully make him 1 or 2 new friends, which are needed as requirements to progress in the charisma skill. For the moment we are fine in terms of requirements, but I want to prevent that we at one point can't progress any further in the skill because we're missing a friend or two. Paul also has the wish now to become best friends with Crystal McDonald, with the newly acquired Office Hero reward that should be easy to do, so let's promise him that wish and a few seconds later already see it fulfilled. A short while later, Paul's workday comes to an end, and after a few seconds we get another promotion. Paul is now Weatherman, and that is especially nice in one particular area. As you can see here, we now no longer have the stories and reviews requirement. We only need charisma, but granted, quite a lot of it. Because we only have one more day of work before the weekend comes up, and we won't get a promotion in that one day, let us now return home and fulfill a wish for Paul, which is to work on his book. Wonderful. 2 p.m. and the workday for Ayesha comes to an end. We receive 2,900 simoleons for her efforts, and both her and Patrick, who just finished school, can now return home. Patrick will quickly weed his plants, while Ayesha can grab quite a bit of stuff from the mail, as well as pay our bills, which rapidly approach 1,000 simoleons. Then we can use the newly unlocked heart-shaped cut and send away one of each gem. In the meantime, we can also try and get a bit of that money back. We have received lots of things in the mail, so let's sell a few of those. Then, with Ayesha sending away her last gem, we can tell Paul to stop writing for the moment, as Ayesha has the wish to talk to her son, and we can use this as a nice charisma practice for Paul. In the meantime, Patrick has finished gardening and has hopped under the shower, and as the talks between Ayesha and Paul come to an end, both sons will sit down at a dinner table to improve their skills. Patrick with a book on cooking, and Paul with a book on charisma. And since there's not much more to do for Ayesha here, we can once again send her off to collect. On the way, we can grab an additional 1,000 simoleons by selling the mysterious Mr. Gnome we received in the mail, and then have a quick look at our metal ingot display. Currently, we have quite a bit of stuff here. However, that also includes a very disproportionate amount of gold. While all of that certainly looks nice, we have roughly 20 to 25,000 simoleons lying around here, so I think we can clean that up a bit. Alright, I have now put on display here 1 ingot of each metal, and all of the ingots that remain in the room above can now be sold. Especially the plutonium is worth a ton of money, and thanks to completing the metal collector skill challenge, we also received a few additional ones. Long story short, all in all we made almost 20,000 simoleons from selling. I think in the next episode we will do a bit of investing. Now, while I would love for Paul to get to the next level of the charisma skill as soon as possible, we still have a career opportunity that has quite a nice reward. For that reason, we will have him stop reading now and send him over to the theater, where he will now attend a seminar. And look who's standing outside here. Alright, 3 hours later and the seminar is completed, resulting in a nice job performance increase. And if we have a look at the work tab here, that might actually be enough, I'm not sure. With a full day of working hard tomorrow, we might actually be able to crack that promotion in one day. That would of course be great, but I won't make any promises. A bit later, Paul returns home, both tired and hungry, and once again grabs some stew surprise for dinner. Then, by reading the skill book, Patrick improves his cooking skill to level 7. And while Paul cleans up, Patrick can now prepare dinner for himself. Since we don't have the ingredients for the newly unlocked food, we will stick to stew surprise. In the background, Paul can already go to sleep. He has a potentially hard day of work ahead of him. And while Patrick finishes the bowl of stew surprise, we get a message: there is once again an emergency at the hospital. Seems like Ayesha can't catch a break, but with her being pretty tired, we can simply set her to sleep at work. I suppose we have nothing to lose by doing so. At home, Patrick has finished eating and will now go to bed. Tomorrow should be his last day of school before over the weekend he ages up to a young adult and we can get him a real job. Then we can quickly jump ahead to the end of the workday for Ayesha. We made a bit of money, Ayesha isn't as tired as she was before, but nonetheless, back at home we also send her off to bed to get her well rested. And with that we can make a cut in today's episode. I am extremely happy that we finally found that bloody pink diamond. That really was one of my biggest worries. So we already have a few things to do in the next episode, but until then, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Cheers.